Guys, I've been making YouTube videos on real estate investing for like 4 years now, and I just looked, I can't believe it. I've never actually made a video on house flipping. And it's such a shock because house flipping is basically like step number 1 in a real estate investing journey. Every single real estate investor out there that I've seen, whether they're a house flipper still, they're a builder developer, or they're a long-term real estate investor, they started off with that first flip that changed the game for them. And I think the reason why I never made a video like that is because honestly, I haven't done a house flip in quite a while, but that's what I'm gonna go over today, how I would flip my first house, if it was my first house, here in 2024, given the market conditions. Let's get to it. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you didn't already know, my name is Jay Costa. I'm a real estate investor, agent, and builder here in Northern New Jersey. And if you get value after watching this video, make sure you watch first. If you get value though, please smash that like button down below and also consider subscribing. We are building a tight-knit community here of like-minded individuals looking to build wealth in real estate. One of those ways to build wealth is flipping homes. Now, there was a big run-up of home flippers during COVID when interest rates were super low and the housing boom was making everything very, very crazy and frankly making a lot of idiots that didn't know what they were doing and still don't look like geniuses, because all you had to do was buy anything, do whatever you want, make any mistake that you want, and you'd somehow come out ahead and you'd feel like a genius. But now the economic conditions and the market conditions in real estate are different. Prices are still up, but interest rates are much higher than those all-time low ones that we were dealing with previously. So right now is a little bit different. And frankly, like I said, I have not flipped a house since I would say about 2019. That was the last time I flipped an actual home. Since then, I've focused more on new construction, which basically is like a flip, just everything brand new and much bigger numbers, obviously. But that's what I wanted to go over with you today. If I were starting out right now, I would start out flipping my first home, because even if you want to have a long-term real estate investing portfolio, you got to start with making money somehow. You need that one big paycheck that turns into another big paycheck, turns into another big paycheck. All of a sudden, you have a big down payment and some capital, some serious capital, in order to go buy some long-term real estate or whatever your plan is. So step 1 should be picking your market. Now, I know there has been a lot of discussion on social media and things. If you look at Bigger Pockets and other areas, other YouTube channels, they'll say, hey, if you're in a high cost of living area, just go invest somewhere else in another state, hire someone to do all the work for you, and you'll just make so much money. That may be true. That's not the advice that I would take myself. I've always been a local guy. I find real estate to be a local business. And if you're outside of your area, outside of your comfort zone, outside of your knowledge and what you know about certain areas, you're just more likely to F up, in my opinion. You don't know the areas, you don't know certain areas of town to stay away from or that are more attractive to people. You don't know the restaurants, you don't know the schools, you don't know anything. So how you can go in and, buy any piece of real estate to short-term flip and come out ahead, man, I just wouldn't do it. I mean, as I said, there are many people out there that do very well, presumably doing this strategy, and it goes for long-term investing as well. But I wouldn't do it. I would recommend starting in your local area. If you're in a high cost of living area, like I am here in the New York, New Jersey area, start with something small. Go with a condo. Go like 45 minutes out of your area, an hour out of your area. Don't be going into Ohio or Tennessee or wherever else that you just don't know, unless you're from those areas, obviously. Step number 2, you need to start building up your team. Now, when I say a team, you don't need to have like employees already, but your team is basically going to consist of a lender, most likely a real estate agent, as well as contractors. So let's start with the lender first, how to find a lender. Well, it depends on your financial situation, how much income you have, how much money you have to put up. Best case scenario, you don't need a lender. You could do it all cash, but most people can't do that. So in order to find a lender, I would recommend trying to find a commercial bank, a commercial lender that does these sorts of transactions, but they may have a lot of restrictions where it may not work. If it doesn't work, then I would probably go to like a private lender or a hard money lender. There's plenty of those out there. You could Google for them. You could ask on social media, Facebook groups for real estate investors in your town, in your city, in your state. Find them there. And lastly, you could also just partner up with someone as well. I've had plenty of experience with that as well, where basically I had the cash, but not enough cash for the whole project. So I split it 50-50 with a partner. And those, honestly, don't be afraid of partnerships, because I know it sounds like, oh, you're giving away half of the profit, but you're also giving away half of the risk and half of the work sometimes as well. So keep that in mind. Next is the real estate agent. Real estate agent, if you already have your license, you don't need a real estate agent. That being said, it is good to start relationships with real estate agents, because they may have properties that are, maybe off market or something like that, where they come to you with the deal. And if that deal goes through and you go to resell it, you give that listing agent, or you give that agent the listing, and that's how they get paid. So you get to buy the property off market with no commission, so the seller's happy. You get it at a lower price, so you're happy as the buyer, as the investor, and the agent's happy because even though they're getting paid nothing on the buy side, they're gonna get a bigger commission check on the sell side when you go list the property with them. And always make sure that you keep your word on that. That's how it's done in this area, and honestly, in my experience, it's a very good business arrangement because all three parties are happy. Now, lastly, you do need to find your contractors. So you have a couple different options for this. First, you could, and if you're new, I probably would recommend this way, but you could just go find one GC, which stands for general contractor, who has their own subs, and they can operate the entire project completely by themselves, and you could be almost completely hands-off and really just an investor at that point. But that's gonna cost you money. They're gonna charge you probably 10% of the cost of the renovations in order to manage the property. That may be worth it to you, that may not be worth it to you. Do your own calculations and math on that to figure it out. If you're brand new and don't know any subs, don't know how to manage a work site, I would probably recommend finding a GC to do it for you. Secondly, you could go find your own subcontractors. Now, this is more of a hands-on approach. This is something that I do because I have experience with dealing with subcontractors, dealing with managing a property, managing a site, a work site. I have experience with this, so I can do it. That being said, it takes time, it takes energy, there's a stress level to it. If you want hands off, go get a GC. If you want to be more hands on, do it yourself, find subs. How do you find subs? Don't go down to the local Home Depot or Lowe's and just look for someone coming out. In my experience, at least in this area, the contractors coming buying stuff like lumber and things and major supplies from a Home Depot or Lowe's generally are not the best contractors. Generally, these are the guys that are gonna show up, start the project and then just go leave for a bigger project. Instead, what I recommend is go drive around your area and look at properties that are being worked on right now. And you're gonna see some vans, some pickup trucks, some dump trucks, whatever in front of the property. Take down that information, give them a call, let them know you're flipping houses and you need contacts and you're looking for people to do the work. Okay, so now that you have your area set and you have your team set, next is to go find the property. This is, in my opinion, the hardest step, the hardest part of being a home flipper and just a real estate investor in general, because especially in this market, it's such low inventory that you need to use kind of unorthodox or alternative ways to find properties where the numbers make sense. And a lot of these homeowners, they could be living in the biggest piece of crap house out there. They think they own gold, a lot of them. And you want to bypass those sellers and find the real, actual motivated sellers, because you'll be able to find many people that'll entertain an offer, but they actually have no interest in selling at all. They just want to hear what they can get an offer for on their house with no plan on moving out. So there's generally kind of like 3 different ways to find a property. First is just simply what's on the MLS. This is when your real estate agent comes into play, or if you're an agent yourself, you could do it yourself, of course. Now, Of course, the MLS is today not having that many properties for sale, to be honest with you. So the ones that are get bid up pretty frequently, especially if it's at a very competitive price. There's gonna be full commission owed on this deal, so the seller's gonna have to get a certain number, to net what they're looking for. It's been pretty hard to find a property on the MLS for sale, but if you are, I wouldn't dissuade you from looking at the MLS. What I would recommend is that you, instead of looking at the brand new listings and going to jump on something, what I would say is look at the properties that have been on the market for a long period of time and that are maybe overpriced. The ones that have been on the market for a long time and overpriced, generally, you'd be surprised. Go throw in a lower offer. You'd be surprised at the answers that you get because most of them are more motivated than you think and they may be willing to negotiate. So that's my tip on MLS transactions. Second would be through wholesalers. Now, wholesalers are basically unlicensed. They're not agents, they're unlicensed in real estate, and they basically go look for properties, motivated sellers. They get the property under contract through their own name or their own LLC, and then they transfer the contract to an investor like you or I. I would definitely recommend that you reach out to a handful of wholesalers in order to find something in the area that you're looking for. Like I said, they're not licensed. It can be slightly shady. There is a little bit more risk in my experience dealing with a wholesaler. Sometimes you can't even see the inside of the property, so keep that in mind and always protect yourself. And if you're not comfortable, don't do it. But wholesalers are a good source of deals for sure. And lastly, you could just go direct to the seller. Now, this is probably the best way to find a deal, an off-market deal that works sense numbers-wise, but it's also not the fastest. It's gonna take the longest time and the most amount of work and probably the most amount of money and investment as well. So direct to seller could be anything from making cold calls in a certain area, going right to the door of a property that you think needs work, or just what we call driving for dollars, where, and I still do this, where you drive around an area that you're interested in investing. You look at properties that look distressed, look like they need a lot of work. Maybe the grass is pretty high and not getting cut. You could leave something in their mailbox. You could, like I said, go right to the door. Or what I do is I just copy down all the addresses and I create a list. I run it through a skip tracer, which is a service that kind of pulls all of the information, the owner information, as well as the contact information of the owner. And then I just dial all of them directly and just see who I can get on the phone in order to, see if they're interested in an all cash offer right then and there. Okay, so once you have your property that you want to make an offer on, you make an offer. In order to make an offer, you need to do two different things. First, you need to, one, look at comparable properties in the area, and two, you need to see how much the renovation cost is going to be on the property. So for comparables, what I recommend is finding at least 3 houses that are similar in that area that sold within the last year or so. That way you could see what, and then compare those properties to your subject property that you're interested in and make your offer based on that. The second thing is, like I said, the cost of renovations. This is gonna be huge because you may not know exactly how much the cost is going to be to renovate. So if you need help finding that number, what I recommend is calling a GC, meeting them at the property, and them giving you a quote for all the work that needs to be done. You don't even need to commit to using them yet, but at least use their experience in order for them to give you an idea of the price. And generally speaking, I would say that the price that they give you is probably a little bit higher than what you could actually do it for, all things being said. But it is a good resource to have a good GC that can give you a decent idea of what the cost may be. So you're gonna use the comps to come up with a value that's called the ARV, the after repaired value or after rehab value, whatever you wanna call it. And then you also want to use the cost of renovations as well. So you take the ARV. So let's say that the property you think after the work is being done, you could sell for $800,000, but the cost of renovations is gonna be $200,000. So 800 minus 200,000, you're left with 600,000. You're gonna wanna take, I would say, depending on your area, this is very area specific because many areas are more competitive than others. I would say anywhere from 60 to 75% of that $600,000 number is where you want your offer to be. So if you're at 600,000, 70% of that is about $420,000. And this is kind of where you're gonna wanna be in order to make money at the end of the day with a flip. Now, Like I said, this is area specific. It's also specific on your situation and how much you want to get started. I've done flips in the past and projects in the past where the margin wasn't really that great, but I still did it anyway, really just for the experience. That's another tip for you there. Don't be too stingy. Don't be afraid if the numbers are tight, but you're just starting out and you think that there's a lot of value in learning. Even if you just break even, you may still want to do it. I know a lot of people may disagree with me there, but that's something to consider. And I'm always a big proponent of learning and experience over any dollar amount, because what are you going to gain more? A property where you buy it and you end up just barely breaking even, or maybe even losing a little bit of money, or if you just never did the deal at all and never even got started. I would rather the former rather than the latter, but that's just me. So once you get the property to accept an offer, you're going to want to set up an inspection. This is another part of your team that I actually didn't mention before. You're going to want a good qualified home inspector to thoroughly go through the house and make sure that there's nothing that you didn't see when you walked in the 1 or 2 times that you saw the property. And this is even if you're looking to buy the property as is. Now, you may say, Jay, I'm buying all these properties for investment or flips. I'm buying them as is anyway. Why do I need a home inspection? What I would say is, even if you're buying it as is, I would still keep the contingency of an inspection. That way, just in case you see something that you didn't see before, that you could back out of the deal or possibly renegotiate the deal if you need to. Me personally, unless I'm knocking the place down, I don't waive an inspection contingency at all. I could say I'm buying it as is, but I still want that right to an inspection. Once the inspection's all done, you're gonna wanna get your funding in order. So wherever you're getting your money from, lender, hard money lender, commercial lender, private lender, or just a partner, get that money set up for the closing, because usually these investment properties want a quick closing, probably within 30 days or so. So I would get started on that pretty much right away as soon as you get under contract and start your inspection. Now, once you close on the property, you want to start renovations right away. This means as soon as you close, go apply for any permits that you need with the town right away. Towns are notoriously known to drag their feet and take a long time in order to give you those permits. Get started right away as soon as possible to save time, because when house flipping, when the money that you're borrowing is costing you interest every single day, time is of course money, and you want to get in and out as quick as possible. Once you get the permits, let your contractor, your GC, or your subcontractors get started on the work. Now, when it comes to the work, I'm sure you've seen it, and I've seen it for sure. There are so many flippers out there that have no idea what they're doing, that are putting lipstick on a pig. Don't do that. Don't do it. And the reason for that is because your reputation is everything, okay? If you're the guy or girl that's known to do these trash ass home flips, house flips, you're not gonna get the values that you're gonna wanna get when you go resell the property. The agents are gonna know in the area, the realtors, that you provide a shit product. Don't be the shit product, be the quality product. Does that mean though that you overspend and you redo the property like you're doing it for your own home? No, absolutely not. Keep everything neutral, keep everything nice and monotone and just easily digestible for any buyer, but also clean and quality and organized. That's another thing too, stay organized. Stay organized with your paperwork, with your numbers, with your money, and also stay organized on the job site. You'd be amazed at the job sites that I see, both new construction as well as flips, that there is garbage and trash everywhere. This is going to delay the work. It's going to delay the workers, the contractors. There's going to be, people bumping into garbage, bumping into each other, not being efficient workers and getting the job done in a timely fashion. So keep everything clean and neat and organized, both paperwork wise as well as on the actual site. Okay, so once you renovate the property, now it's time to sell the property. If you have an agent to use, you go to them and they take care of this process. Discuss with them what you need to net at the end of the day, or what you want to net at the end of the day in order to make money on the deal. And I would honestly let them handle the listing and things however they see fit, because you need to trust that they know the area and the market And if they don't, you should be using someone else. Now, like I said earlier, you could have your real estate license on your own and save yourself potentially half of the commission that would have been owed. But generally speaking, what I would recommend is if you're looking to be a home flipper full-time, let the agent do their job, and then that way you can focus on finding other deals and finding the next property to take your profit out of this one and put it right into the next one. If you're too busy at open houses and showings, you may not be able to do that. Trust me, I know. I'm an investor and a builder and an agent, so it is a lot of work. And if you want to just focus on one, let the agent do their job and find someone that you, of course, trust and you know that knows the market locally. Once you sell the property, that's it. You're done. Well, not really, because you're going to want to repeat the transaction, or else you're just going to be, a one-hit wonder and you won't be able to find anything anymore. So after you sell it, what I would recommend is that you put flyers or even go to the door or call the entire area, letting them know that you're the flipper, you're the investor that flipped that home, and you're looking for other homes in the area like it, and use that one home, that one flip as leverage to go find another and another and another. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about house flipping, let me know in the comment section down below. Would love to start a conversation with you. If you have any questions about any of those steps, or if you've done it before, what have you learned in the past that you could help our community with as well? If you like this content, you'll love my custom playlist on real estate investing. I'll put a link in the description box down below, as well as up here in the corner. Definitely check that out if it interests you. I appreciate it as always, guys, and I will see you next time.